Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure, where we share our honest thoughts, opinions, feelings, and often hot takes. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nietzsche.
And this is episode 1 of the RWBY Report, where we are talking about RWBY Ice Queendom. We are planning on doing a report every week for each episode as it comes out, so you have a lot to look forward to. This is the show that just started coming out. It's the anime, not the original.
Now, I feel like you put some fighting words on the table already, because people will fight to the death that the original RWBY is an anime. And I'm not one of those people, but I have seen some people.
Okay, well, these are the same people who act like Avatar is a anime, and it's not. So, too bad. This one is an anime, though. So, we're talking about that one. We plan on spoiling this, so if you haven't seen this, you are prepared for spoilers. Perhaps this spoils the original series. I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
And we're only in the first 3 episodes. How much can we really spoil here?
I don't know. A lot. Before we begin, we invite you to have at us. The social media links are in the descriptions below, so you can click those. Come yell at us.
Not me this time, because I have the best opinions and probably the more commonplace opinions.
Probably so, but let's figure that out.
Mm-hmm. I have seen all of the original stuff. I've read the books, I've read the comics, I've read the mangas. That's the manga books that are actually canonical and the manga that is an actual official manga that's done and over with. Ice Queendom is also getting a manga in serialized release.
Is there a term for someone so entrenched in the RWBY fandom?
There probably is, but I don't know it because I don't engage a lot with the actual community because they're not always the most pleasant people. I kind of go for kicks sometimes and see what's up and see what's been said. What are the new ship names?
Very important.
It's kind of funny sometimes.
Okay.
But that's about it.
And as I said earlier, I don't know really much about RWBY at all. I don't know the show. I have not seen the original. So this is all blind for me.
And you loved every second of it. You were like, wow, blown away.
I wouldn't say I was blown away, but I didn't have a negative opinion.
That sounds like it was just kind of there. Like it wasn't great, but it was never going to be something to write home about.
There are things that I liked. There was one thing I didn't like.
Let's start there.
I feel like, and this was mainly a problem in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
The progression of these relationships, friendships, was way too fast. Way too fast, especially in Team Juniper. Man, we're going into this dream to save this guy because you're his friends and comrades. And I'm like, how long ago did you meet? 24 hours? Longer than that? I don't know. Not very long. I don't really believe that we're close enough friends to do what's being described here. That was my major problem. I just feel like we're progressing way too fast with that.
It definitely has some pacing issues. There's a lot of scenes that would have already taken place. And apparently we are calling this RWBY Ice Queendom canon adjacent. And so basically that means like the first 2 episodes were kind of just like, here are the important events that you needed to see. Everything else, if you're a RWBY fan, you know what happened already. And then from 3, you break away and it's adjacent with the show now. It's something that happens, is the idea.
Interesting.
Which I'm like, I don't really know that we need this weird term.
Well, people like terms that define things, so it works. I will say, I think the first 2 episodes are pretty good. I think it does a good job of setting up who the characters are, give us a little bit of personality. I don't love Blake's introduction, to be fair, when they're on the train, and then we get to the end and he's like, okay, well now it's time to kill a bunch of humans. And she's like, oh, oof, yeah, I'm leaving. It just felt really out of nowhere. Like, did you not comprehend that this would happen? Were you not told? I don't really know.
Well, at the start there, he says it's just a bunch of Atlas technology or Atlas robots, right?
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so the implication being that they were only supposed to come in, steal the dust, and move on.
I see.
And it was only going to be the robots.
So the humans weren't planned. I see.
Right, and it tells itself better when she's fighting with Weiss over it, and we were peaceful at one point, and, well, they were peaceful. Shouldn't use we there, but... Okay. Right, and then we just kept getting pushed around, and we had to use force, and...
Okay, that makes more sense. I missed that entirely, so... Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and you should know it's the Schnee Dust Company because of the logo on the side of the train.
I wasn't looking at the logo.
Yeah, so the house logo, which is why they showed you Weiss first.
Hmm.
And then you should have connected it. You didn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what that logo is now.
It's the glyph symbol for Weiss's things that she pulled up.
Okay.
It's the same symbol.
Okay.
Well, I could explain that,
Nope.
but then that's spoilery.
Yeah, don't need to do that.
And I think that they might cover that. They might not, though. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, I missed a lot, apparently, in the first episode at least, so that's great.
You just weren't even paying attention.
I was trying to pay attention, okay?
Uh-huh. No, I think that was a decent setup there. Some of the cuts, in particular, there's a cut that goes away from the train scene, like back to Weiss or something, and then back to the train, and I'm like, that felt a little weird. It felt a little jarring to me.
It was strange. I felt like you could have just gone through each character and had a little segment and ended it. You didn't really need to do jumps back and forth. But whatever. I was a little confused at the very beginning when we're at the gravestone talking to Mom. And I'm like, oh, we're sisters? I didn't have the idea that they were sisters. Or what seems to be adopted sisters of some kind of sort. I don't know. It's like, okay, I'm not really sure what's going on.
Why do you assume they're adopted sisters?
They don't look anything alike.
Okay, that's fair.
So, first episode, just kind of just a lot of action, setting up characters. Who are these people? We're going to some cool school where you have to be a badass, I guess. Supposedly. A lot of these people on the ship didn't look like they were badasses, but...
You didn't get to see them in combat.
I did not. That's true.
With their gun weapons.
That's true. If I had seen that, maybe I'd have a different impression. But I didn't see it. It just kind of looked like, oh, if you have an actual design, you're cool. Alright, I see how this is going.
Now, that's way better than how this series originally launched, because they just have black silhouettes for, like, budget constraints, basically, and it's criticized frequently.
That's pretty funny, though.
And I'm like, I don't know, it's a low-budget YouTube show at the time. Like, I don't know that I criticize it too heavily, but they've talked about it several times. They're like, if we could change anything about season 1, or volume 1, that's what we'd do.
That's fair, but there's some kind of charm to that, I think.
I think it's fine. It helps show the roots of it as it grows. But,
exactly.
But in this, I was happy to see we did not follow that example.
We didn't do that.
We designed random no-name people, which is fine.
Now, this is a pretty well-known studio, Shaft Studio.
Yeah.
They do quite a bit, and they're pretty well-known for good animation.
Their team in general is pretty decent people. Like, they got some pretty big-name people on their list.
They clearly are putting some budget into this. They seem to think that it's going to be successful. I'm not really sure how big the RWBY community really is.
I mean, it's pretty decent, from what I understand, but it's also the only, show that we dubbed over for the Japanese people.
A rare honor.
So, it's a pretty big deal.
This time it's just Japanese.
I'm pretty sure we are getting an English dub, and all of the normal English voice actors and actresses will be reprising roles.
That makes sense.
I don't remember officially. I was like, nah, this is coming from Japan. I will watch this in Japanese. Like a good human being.
Fair enough. Did you think the performances were alright? Or are they really different than the English?
I think RWBY sounds much more childish.
Okay.
Which I figured was going to be the case. Because she is pretty childish, but it also isn't quite the same inflection, at least by tone. But it's fine. I mean, a lot of your lines are basically just ripped straight from, so...
Okay.
Or modified slightly, or put in a different context. That still works.
Now, who is your favorite of this?
Of this particular version, I still don't have a real favorite here.
Well, I'm talking original.
I still don't have a real favorite, right? I think that Blake, Weiss, and Ruby all have the same level of goodness going on.
Okay. But
Yang is not a grand character to me. I think her development is really piss poor.
Okay. I can't wait for her to be my favorite.
Okay, I mean, we could watch the original, too, and you could tell me all about how much you like Yang. A lot of people will argue that her development is a lot better than I'm giving it credit for, but...
Interesting. I don't know. My impression after these 3 episodes was, I feel like all your development seems pretty... Like, I feel like I can guess where it's going, and, right, that's fine if it is that. But it seemed like a pretty standard setup. You have the good person... You have the person who's probably good. You have the ex-criminal who's turning over a new leaf. Well, criminal, maybe that's a hard word, but...
They straight up robbed a train for a valuable resource.
That's true.
She is 100% a criminal.
Yeah, and then you have the rich person who's, maybe a little ignorant of the world. And I'm like, okay, well, I feel like I can see where this is going. Maybe they'll prove me wrong.
It's not a hard deal to figure out. I don't know exactly where we're going to go from here, because I think this is where we will start down the adjacent path here.
Parallel world.
Basically, is how I understand. I think it's supposed to take place between 2 and 3, kind of, for the volumes.
This show does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think is what we're attempting to do.
That sounds weird.
It is weird. I don't really know what we're going to do from here. Most of it all up to this point is like, yep, that's basically how I thought this was going to go. I didn't think your pacing was going to be that poor, but...
Yeah, it's really fast. And I feel like I'm missing some scenes to get there.
You're missing a lot of things.
Fair enough.
We set up the Weiss and Blake conflict much, much better in that show.
In this show?
In the original show, yeah.
Okay, I see.
But basically everything is more set up, your characters are better.
Yeah, so far, I'm pretty indifferent about the characters. I don't dislike any of them. I don't love any of them. They seem fine.
Mm-hmm. I know your favorite character is Port.
Port?
Mm-hmm. He is their teacher.
Oh, yeah, that's just a teacher. I don't know anything about him.
I don't even know that he gets a name, but I think he gets a subtitle, like, that says who's speaking.
Oh.
When he's talking to Weiss, giving her grand advice, I think.
Telling her she's a brat.
I mean, in no uncertain terms. He's kind of a brat. Maybe you need to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not always about being in charge.
I liked him because he said that. I was like, okay, buddy. It seems you have some sense of perception. So good on you. You don't get a lot of him, so... We don't get a lot of really anybody, because it's so split. Because there seems to be a large cast that we kind of have to follow a bit. So there's a lot of time that's spent with other characters on this Juniper team. I don't know how important they really are, if we're going to focus on them a lot or not. No idea. But we're setting it up like we are.
Juniper originally is decently important, at least up to this point. They get their own, set of, 4 episodes in Volume 1 or something, basically, which basically sets up Jean and Pyrrha.
Okay.
And there's not this weird cut to a rooftop scene where they're just talking and...
Well-dressed, too.
Well, that's their uniforms.
Oh, their uniforms are pretty snazzy.
So, that's better there, but I don't know how important they will be in this.
Okay.
And... talking much more about them doesn't do any good because it just spoils all kinds of things.
Yeah, I'll say I kind of like Nora.
You like Nora?
She seemed pretty fun.
I feel like Nora got gypped a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I just think that her introduction is much better in the actual show. And her getting to show off her fighting capabilities was, I think, more interesting because they work together as an actual team and not this weird convoluted thing to kill the scorpion. Now it looks cooler watching Pyrrha's spear just straight through. That was a large amount of changes that I was like, I didn't think you were going to do that, but that's okay.
Interesting. I can't wait to not know what's changed. I'm just like, this is the canonical RWBY.
I guess. You could go there. I mean, most of those scenes do canonically happen in their proper context. Fair amount of them that don't, but that's fine.
Right on.
So you don't have anything extra special to say about any of these other characters, though? Like, they're all just kind of there.
Well, you get, like, Ozpin.
Yeah, Ozpin.
And he seems to be somewhat intelligent. He seems to be interested in RWBY for some reason. I don't know what that is. He mentioned her gray eyes. I guess that's...
Silver.
Silver. My bad.
I just correct you because it is important.
Okay. Her
that you
silver
use
eyes.
the right color because all colors matter.
Oh, okay.
That's the theme is colors matter.
Kaleidoscope is the theme. All right.
Yeah, everything has a color themed name, whether you understand it or not. It's a whole deal.
Okay. Well, silver eyes.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is important. I don't know how, but I'll find out. And that's about all I got from him.
Mm-hmm.
You had what seemed to be his assistant, Glinda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about her. She didn't seem that interesting, to be honest.
Why are you so mean to her?
Because she didn't do anything interesting.
She's a riding crop. Because she's basically just a witch.
Okay. You got the Xion person?
Xion is entirely original.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
She appears in the second teaser for Ice Queendom, which is where I was like, okay, you're gonna set things on a different track. Which makes the scene where they're at the training grounds and she shows up a little weird. Because that never happened.
Okay, yeah.
So you could technically say it could have happened. That's fine.
Okay, well, that's a person that I don't know then. It seemed a little interesting. The powers were cool. I like dream powers. So, we'll see what that's all about. That seemed to be the most interesting part for the plot to me.
That's her ability to connect people into other people's dreams.
Yeah, I like that.
That seemed to be her semblance, I guess. I'm not exactly positive.
Then we met Penny.
Good old Penny. And you love Penny.
I like that she was a Gundam for a second.
She is, robotic, because you can tell that.
Yeah.
Her introduction in this is really poor.
Okay.
But that's fine. They can do that in a weird fashion. But you liked her little, sword coming out looking like she was a Gundam.
Yeah.
Silhouetted on the fire.
Well, I'm a fan of Gundam, so anytime we're bringing this up, I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Good on her. She seems cool. Maybe she's the best so far.
Maybe she's the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of liked her.
All right.
And then, Team Juniper. Nora, I thought, seemed fun.
Right.
But I don't really know these characters very well. I feel like Pyra.
It's Pyra, by the way.
It's Pyra. I feel like, okay, clearly the sense of fame, she's clearly not digging all of that. We'll see where that goes. John coming in, making a little bit of a fool of himself. Fair enough.
Look, he was trying to be confident, okay?
Hey, I admire trying. It didn't work out for you. Maybe it did work out for you, actually, to be completely fair. So, hey, not too bad. What's going on with his powers? No idea. He did seem to be a little weak, and I was like, why were you invited to this? Is it your family lineage? It's kind of what I figured, because we're talking about his family being like, all the males were super cool and strong and badasses, but you suck. Fuck you, kid. It's basically what I got from his dream. We'll see where that goes. And then Rin, I'm like, I don't know anything about you. You're just a friend of Nora. You kind of have a cool design, though. I like his design.
Okay. All right. Red doesn't do anything, though, right?
He didn't do anything.
He doesn't fight or anything.
I think he jumped on one of the claws with the shield or something.
Oh, no, he does actually pull his weapons out. That's right.
So
he damages the tail.
So yeah, he had that. Not much, though. I really felt like I was lacking a lot. I feel like we could have used another episode setting up some of these characters. This test? Was there a name for this test?
It's the entrance exam, I think.
Okay. I feel like that could have been 2 episodes. Could have drawn that out a little bit more. Gave us a little bit more character interaction specifically with Team Juniper. But we got what we got.
You do miss a couple of pretty important, character development scenes with the Juniper kids.
Okay.
But that's alright. You suck,
I like the headphones. that Ruby was wearing at the beginning.
Oh, you could buy those. Well, at least they were in stock.
Well, I'm not going to do that. I liked that after she breaks out of the store, she's still holding them. I was like, good, you gotta watch that.
Look, her headphones are important to her.
And I liked it because the music that started playing there, I liked while she was fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, the music, you got the headphones, it's working for me. I like that.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's a good scene.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It's a nice action sequence.
Yeah.
This showcases where the anime can look more fluid and nice by a long shot.
I believe that a lot.
You also get, ginger hair kid there.
Yeah, I was gonna call him Orange Head.
Orange Head. You can call him Orange Head.
Yep, we got him. He seems to be important. So, yeah.
He does get his own book for the backstory of himself, basically.
Damn, he's cool.
I mean, well, he gets to share the book with another person. But the book's pretty much, him and this character's backstory.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, overall, I think they're solid episodes. Pacing isn't great. I understood what was happening for the most part. I don't know all the intricate details, but I understood what was happening. I do think Yang kind of gets shafted for an introduction, actually. Like, Ruby gets a fight scene, Blake gets a fight scene, Weiss gets a fight scene. Yang, you're just there. That's all she really got. I thought that was a little weird.
It's not great. So all of those introductions, well, Ruby fighting at the store is an actual episode. But her other actual trailer introduction isn't really a story beat. It has story significance, but you gotta dig kind of deep, and it's not really relevant to go into that because the show starts you where the significance matters. But she's, fighting a bunch of Grimm on her way back from her mother's grave.
Oh.
Which is a pretty grand trailer, but that's irrelevant. Whereas Yang's whole thing is not in there. None of her trailer's in there at all. And then the train thing is Blake's deal. And fighting the Gigas thing is Weiss's deal.
Okay. I just felt like, for the episode, it felt weird because it's clearly a quartet. But we're kind of missing one of those pieces in action, so.
She gets to show up and, ride her cool bike.
That is pretty cool.
But you don't have a motorcycle.
She had a dad, though, so I just figured he's going to die at some point.
That almost sounded like you were about to be like, she had a dad, which is why, she got to have a motorcycle and I didn't. Like, you don't have a father, which is not true.
Yeah.
But that's how I thought that was going. I was so distracted.
No. Not what I was going to say at all.
Yeah, her father is going to die, huh?
That was my first impression. Because dad figures always get shafted. They just get killed all the time. So, he's got to go.
He's got to go.
Yep.
He's going to die.
Yep.
All right. Going to join his wife, Summer.
Was that her name, Summer?
Yeah, it was on the gravestone.
Oh, okay.
I made sure to look because I figured we weren't going to say her name.
Okay.
But her name is Summer Rose.
Summer Rose.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've talked through your characters, right? That's basically all of them. I know your favorite character is Fugitive Monkey Boy.
He looked pretty fit. That was my impression of him.
He is pretty fit. I mean, you gotta be quick on your feet as a stowaway.
Yeah. He seemed to be practiced at that. I didn't really know what to think of this guy, honestly. I was like, okay.
He does get really shafted.
I'm like, you're just here. You're helping out Blake. That's nice.
I mean, the Faunus people gotta stick together.
Clearly, that is important. I'm interested, I guess, to learn a bit about the past of the Faunus. See what this is really all about. We'll see
I don't know that we're gonna go there.
I have no idea.
But we'll see.
We'll see what we get.
I mean, it's interesting. It's not mind-blowing. It's not world-shattering. But I don't think anything about it, like, even originally is, like, world-shattering. Right?
I mean, ultimately, it sounds like it's gonna just be bigotry. Ultimately, was what it probably comes down to.
Are you calling Weiss a bigot right now?
That was the term they used in the show. So
I know.
So I went with it.
That's rude.
You write them a letter.
Who am I writing the letter to, though?
Shaft.
Shaft, not Rooster Teeth.
No.
Okay. I mean, I'd rather just condemn the American company, though.
That's no fun.
Okay. All right.
It's too easy.
Oh, I see. Because then I'd have to learn Japanese and write it for them. And
You can just send them in a letter in English. They'll translate. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the show does a decent job of setting up some mysteries of what's going on. Clearly, you don't have a lot of answers. There's a lot of places we could kind of go. Well, eventually. Clearly, we have this whole cliffhanger ending with Weiss.
Nothing bad is going to happen. She's not getting attacked by the nightmare.
So, I assume that's what's next. We'll see. But after that, we could go a bunch of different places. I don't really know that I have a great understanding of what the overall plot is outside of go to school and become cool.
I mean, it takes a while to really get beyond that.
Okay.
It takes you 3 volumes.
Okay.
Which is not a great descriptor because these volumes are radically weird in episode length and number, and it's a deal. But, you know, that's where it is. I don't know that we're going to get there, at least in this deal. I don't know if we're planning to, you know, do more with it or not.
I assume that if it's successful, we'll probably get some more.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 12 episodes.
12 episodes.
We're already 3 in.
Hey, quarter of the way.
That is true.
So, I'm excited to see where this goes.
Are you actually excited?
Specifically so that I can pretend that I know everything about RWBY.
Oh, you're just being like, yeah, this is exactly how it happens and goes. And like, wow.
Yeah, and I'll be able to be like, no, I watched RWBY, so,
Uh-huh. What vainglory you have over here.
You gotta find it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything grand to say about these characters. Like, they're all just kind of there at the moment. They're all pretty decent representations.
What did you think of the art design on this? Or the character design?
I knew what it looked like before I got here. Right. I've watched the things on it and seen their showcases. And I don't hate the art style, except that the eyes are bad. They're just awful.
You don't like the eyes?
No. Everybody looks like they're blind, but with just different colors. And it's just so bad. I hate it so much. It's fine when things are happening, but when you're like on someone's face, all I can look at is just like how annoying their eyes look.
RWBY's was the only one I felt like that.
Oh no, all of them. I do not like any of them.
Interesting. I kind of like that there was a scar on Weiss. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. That's a nice detail.
It is nice. I was concerned because I didn't know exactly what we were doing at first, and I know we were starting before the scar happened. I didn't think we would show that, and I was like, where the heck is the scar? And then, as we got into the scene, I was like, oh, okay, now I know where we're at.
Oh, okay.
We are getting the scar. Got it.
Rite of passage.
Kind of. Sure. We'll call it that.
Yep.
That is not what that is. So... But yeah, the art is fine. The animation is decent. It's pretty quality animation. There's no points where I was like, wow, that's bad.
There was moments where I could tell that they put a little bit more into a scene. Specifically, it was like shots of like a character about to do something cool. I was like, oh, we need to make this 3 seconds look really good.
I mean, the deal where RWBY has jumped out of the store window and is like flinging her scythe around. The light gleam and everything. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now this is a cool scene. Yeah, I don't have a problem.
But I mean, that's how it works. That's anime. I get it. It looked good. It was consistent.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with that.
So, but yeah, it's not ugly. So, I don't really have a problem with it visually. Pretty decent first 3 episodes.
Now, the auditory is important.
The only part I cared about was RWBY's fight scene.
Was the headphones. And
yeah.
Her still having it.
Yeah, I liked the music that played during that. It's kind of like a rock song. But I couldn't tell you any other piece of music.
I really like what they play at the credits, but it's the opening, so I was confused as to how this 3-episode premiere thing really worked. But it's supposed to be the opening.
Well, I'll judge it better when we actually get an opening with that, and I can see it.
That's fair. I like this song a lot. I think it's really good. The full song came out, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Now you go and listen to the old soundtracks.
I listen to the old soundtracks more frequently now, because I listen to music at work more frequently, because I kind of have come to hate all of them. My wonderful coworkers.
So you had to drown it out with music from RWBY.
I just kind of hope that headphones or seeing that someone is listening to music means that you will leave them alone. But I think that because everybody listens to music and it's too ubiquitous at this point, that it doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it saddens me. But I do listen to a decent amount of RWBY music.
Was this all original?
The music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't take anything that I heard. Maybe you did in a different rendition and I just missed it.
Okay.
But I thought the music was good for mood setting and it worked really well. Their sound effects were fine. They weren't exceptional, but they were fine. They were never bad.
Yeah, I didn't make any note of them, so good enough.
Uh-huh. I mean, again, I will always come back to Code Geass, where you didn't even realize that the horns were a problem.
I am very good at ignoring sounds that I don't care about.
Well, I will vouch for RWBY Ice Queendom here and say that the sounds are good. They did a good job here. Do you have any great lines that you liked or hated? Anything stick out to you in the writing?
I like the bigot line.
You like the bigot line?
Yep.
That is an original line, so that's fine.
I thought it was well said. In the context of the scene.
You just like people calling people bigots.
It's a good word that just really get under people's skin.
Is that what I should do when I walk into work tomorrow?
Yep. First thing.
Just be like, someone says morning, I'll be like, morning bigot.
That's exactly what you should do.
Oh, that'd be bad. Be funny, though. Anyway. Now, I feel like a lot of the lines that I actually liked and hoped were going to make it were either, like, not put in context, and so you missed a bunch of setup lines, or they just weren't there. I was a little saddened.
This seems like a show that's going to be made for people who like RWBY already.
It is definitely much more of a fan service show than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it'd be fan service, but I thought it'd be a little more accessible to someone who hasn't seen RWBY. And it clearly seems fine, but I feel like, yeah, the lack of character depth is going to consistently be the problem here.
Yeah, I mean, if that continues to be the problem, it's going to definitely take some knocks in my book. We'll see what happens. Maybe they pull it together.
So you got nothing else you need to say about the greatness that is RWBY?
We'll have to get more episodes before I can lay down too much judgment.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a nice pleasure inducting you into the RWBY community.
Do I get a tattoo?
Only when I get a tattoo.
Okay.
Anyway, I hope that people listening, if you haven't watched RWBY of either side, you go out, you do that. I think it's worth your time, right? And I always have a right opinion. So
far, you're 100 on 100.
And Josh here's in the wrong, but he's not in the wrong yet.
I will be.
I say yet purposefully, because you probably will be. But really, we hope you had some pleasure listening to this. It's really about the listeners here, and we invite you to have at us. And we need you to like, comment, share, subscribe, leave suggestions, tell us what your impressions of this are. I will happily discuss, the deviations with you. If you want to put those in there. I have a decent amount of RWBY knowledge. You'll share this with your friends.
And of course, there's something I need you guys to do.
As always.
And I was inspired by this robbery. And I thought, dang, that looks like a lot of fun. But I don't want to get in trouble. So I need you guys to go and do some train robbing. Now, you can leave a calling card, but don't use our logo. Don't do it this time. That would not help us. But leave a calling card. Take all the dust. I don't know how much that goes for. Hopefully it's a lot. All proceeds need to go back to us.
We'd appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it'd help us out.
But you need to make sure this, funnels through some other businesses and loopholes. But yeah, so, you do that. Make sure it's not traceable. And bring that right back to us.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
You'll help continue to support this. Because that's, that's what we want. Your loyal and continued support. Loyalty to the point of illegal and illicit activities.
Which we don't condone.
We will be back again in episode 4. But We're going to leave ourselves some nice little scores here of the first 3 episodes.
I'm going to give this, the first 3 episodes, collectively, a dazzling 7 out of 10.
Well, I'm going to agree with you here and give this a 7 out of 10.
Have at us.